welcome to the screening. Today's screening will be Star Wars: Attack of the Clones. Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Screening. I am, of course, your humble and eloquent host, Cooper Cobbs, and I'm joined today by two of our three panelists, Matthew Killingsworth.
Howdy.
And the magnificent Isaiah Radetzky.
Ellie.
We really wish Tanner could be here. He was going to be on here, and then he accidentally didn't save a very long paper that we all have to write.
10-page
Was it an
research
accident?
essay.
Yeah.
So now he has to rewrite it.
And he has to rewrite it today. So, unfortunately, Tanner's not on.
I don't know how he's going to get it all done today.
Yeah, I know. It's a massive paper. But anyway, here we are. We're talking about, speaking of poor guys, let's talk about this poor movie. Yes, yes. I continue to grow in my powers of podcast transitions.
Oh, man.
Oh, this is so good. I see it in everything now. Everything, let me tell you. So, Attack of the Clones, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie.
We can all agree it's probably the best Star Wars movie, besides possibly The Last Jedi.
Yeah, on opposite day.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. But today's not opposite day, so let's tear this movie apart. So we can all agree, this is, probably the worst movie, Star Wars movie.
Yeah,
I think it's
probably.
always been heralded as that. So my question is, why is it the worst movie, in your opinion?
Well, for one, they still have Jar Jar Binks. I mean,
That's reason enough right there. So, besides Jar Jar Binks, what else?
Well, I think this just contributes the least to the entire plot of the entire grand story of Star Wars created by George Lucas and Disney.
Besides the fact that Anakin and Padme get
Right,
together,
that's-
I guess.
yeah,
that's what
and
I'm
also
saying,
the
it's
fact
pretty
that,
much it.
they show how clones are made and all that.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
There's a
Clone
couple
Wars.
things. But, I mean, they don't even focus on, the clones. It's called Attack of the Clones, but the clones are in it, you see them in the
Yeah,
windows,
exactly.
and then it's, not even in the rest of the movie.
That's
Right.
true.
So, I had heard of the Clone Wars before I had watched the prequels, and I thought that there were going to be tons of epic set pieces of just the Clone Wars, right?
Nope.
And so I saw Attack of the Clones, and I was like, oh, maybe most of it's in Revenge of the Sith. And then it wasn't, and I was kind of disappointed.
Yeah.
I was like, what? But, what's funny, watching this movie again, I thought of all the things that the TV show The Clone Wars does, and it makes this movie so much better. Because everything is so colored in.
Mhm.
I was literally thinking that the whole time.
Like the plot with Sci-Fi.
I remember thinking Anakin is such a little whiny brat.
I
Yeah,
know.
in this and in Clone Wars, okay, look, he literally looks. I think according to the Star Wars timeline, he is 19 in this movie, right? Because he was 9 in the
Right.
first one, and then 10
Right.
years had gone by, and he
Right.
looks
Does
like
not look 19.
he looks like he's 15 or 16, and he's a whiny baby who's just a tall basketball player guy.
He acts.
And
oh, man.
then in the Clone Wars, all of a sudden he's
He acts like LeBron James.
no, in Clone Wars, all of a sudden he's this, completely responsible, the best Jedi, good looking. Everybody loves him,
Right.
and he's always so lighthearted, and he's playing games and battles with his Padawan Ahsoka, and he's he's
And
super
so it's
chill.
funny,
He's not worried about
is it
anything.
makes-
And now in this movie, he's completely stressed out about everything and crying and killing people. And then somehow he still has a girlfriend even after he screamed at her that he killed women and children.
Yeah, think about it. Honestly, watching this, you're like, this isn't
Yeah,
Anakin.
exactly. This is
This
not
is not
Anakin.
Anakin, I know. And watching it, I was disgusted by what they did
Same.
with Anakin. He was such a whiny
Same.
brat.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, Padme, listen, run, okay?
I was yeah, I know. I was
do
I was
something.
there's no way she actually likes this dude. Because the one part that I remember thinking, okay, there you go, you're doing something, is when, so they first meet, and then he saves her, the night before from the two little
Right.
centipede things.
Centipedes.
And then he gets assigned to go with her, so they're, kind of packing up her suitcases, and he's just kind of, playing with
Right.
stuff with the Force, and they're talking, and she's, telling him about all her problems, and he's, kind of giving her some good advice. I'm like, okay, there you go. That's
Right,
how you get
exactly.
a girl.
Kind of.
And
And then after that, he starts talking about himself.
Yeah.
And
and then he
starts
starts, whenever he talks about himself, which is basically the rest of the movie from that point, then he just gets all like creepy and just mad and whining, and I'm just like, this is the least attractive guy I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was drastic. The change. And he gave her
Drastic,
some pretty good
yes.
advice. You know, like
He was like,
you know,
be
sometimes we have to listen to our
patient, look to your
masters,
masters.
and then he starts like whines
I
about
know.
Obi-Wan, and it wasn't even like dialogue. It was
I
sexual
know.
dialogue. It's not.
Yes,
fair.
I know. I wanted to count how many times this happened in the movie, but he would just kind of like, whenever he was flirting with Padme, he would like look at her and then wait for her to like look, like wait for her to think it was weird, and then he would like do his little grin thing, and then I was like, that just makes it more weird. What are you doing?
yeah, it's true.
He would literally wait for her to like look
So true.
disgusted, and then he would grin.
That's probably one of the main reasons I don't like this movie because it's. I mean,
So
Anakin is such a
cringy.
bad character. But another reason, it's just so much wasted.
I know.
power.
That's what I'm
You
saying.
know?
That's what I'm saying.
I
It
mean,
contributed
like-
almost nothing to the actual plot of Star Wars as a whole.
I mean, even the score for this movie was incredible. I love even though I didn't like the love scenes, I like the love theme.
Yeah.
It's called
Oh,
Across
yeah,
the
definitely.
Stars. It's like the little flute and
And
harp
they
part,
brought
and
back
then
the Duel of Fates a couple times. And they
Right,
actually
yeah,
had
exactly.
the Imperial March a couple times. You know, kind of hidden how they do in the sequels.
Exactly. John Williams made this movie so much
Mhm.
better. The love scenes, which are painful to watch, you would watch just for the music, honestly. You wouldn't mute them just because you wanted to hear the music. And also, I apologize. In the last episode, I said the quote wrong. I said, I don't like sand, it's hot, but not like your skin. So he says I don't like sand, it's irritable, it gets everywhere, blah, blah, blah. Then he just rubs Padme's skin, which I think is pretty much worse, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, George Lucas he wasted Samuel L. Jackson. It's hard to waste
I know.
Samuel L. Jackson, and he did it. And he wasted, Natalie Portman, I guess she's, a better actor now, or she's a more well-known actor
Yeah, isn't
now.
that kind of started her
Yeah,
off though, right?
It did, probably. I mean, she's
Uh-huh.
pretty young then. It didn't look like she'd aged any in the Thor movie still, but, like everybody does. Then, who else? Who else was I gonna say? I was gonna one other person. Oh, yes,
Uh-huh.
Ewan McGregor. He was in Beauty and the Beast, for heaven's sake. He did the voice for the Candlestick, Lumiere. I think that's his right. And I mean, he's a big star, and I mean, he does a really good job in this movie. But even then, even Christopher Lee really does well too. Christopher Lee is Count Dooku. He also plays Saruman in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
He's great. But even then, I mean, I couldn't have told you. I think watching these when I was a little older, I was like, is that Samuel L. Jackson?
Yeah,
I
right.
can't tell.
His
George Lucas
nose
just
looks
wasted
different.
so many people's talents. Yeah. Even Hayden Christensen, the actor for Anakin, I really want to blame George Lucas for what he did. I think that he did fine with the material that was given him. I mean, he was told to be a whiny brat. He went out there and did a whiny brat, but
It was
just, come on.
bad.
I mean, even the first time I saw this, maybe that elevator scene in the first meeting with Padme, right off the bat, I was like, oh man, this movie's going down.
That scene. So this
And,
is
I
this is
mean-
what's funny to me. Sorry to interrupt, or you can finish.
you're
So
good.
I noticed Obi-Wan, Ian McKellen, right? So
Ewan
my
McGregor.
bad.
Ian McKellen is Gandalf.
Oh, that's right. I can't keep up with the different ones, but anyways, Ewan McGregor, like he literally looks like a hobo when you first see him in this movie. Like his beard is so bad. I think they forgot. No,
what you
literally,
noticed?
go back and watch the elevator scene, and then watch him in the rest of the movie and number 3.
I'm not gonna watch the elevator scene.
I forgot, like, because no, like he just looks like a hobo. I think the people that are supposed to like be doing his makeup and hair forgot to fix his beard for that part, and then they did it the rest of the movie. Like, I actually think that because it looks really
Okay.
bad.
Wow, that's funny. That's least of my concerns with that scene. I mean, first off, the scene with Obi-Wan and Anakin, I mean, it's meh. But then when you walk in, he's like, "You've grown, Annie." It's kind of, I mean, that's pretty dumb. Like,
And then he
he's grown,
goes,
obviously.
"You have
And
too."
he goes, "So
In
have you."
beauty, of course.
More beautiful for a senator.
For a senator.
You're like, and then Padme smiles at him, and it's like, "Oh, you'll always be a little boy I remembered." And he's mad about that, and not mad that he like totally, I mean, right then Padme should have been like, "Yeah, you're not for me."
So have you.
Right then and there.
No, she hasn't. She's the exact same size, dude.
Yep, exact same age.
I mean,
And if anything, she's less beautiful in this movie.
what?
No, I'm just saying, because, like, she literally hasn't changed at all from the first movie.
Yeah, it's true. But whatever. He's got to say something, am I right? It can be a complete failure. Speaking of not being a complete failure, for all the movie's faults, it had some pretty cool action scenes, and the speeder chase I thought was actually really good. I enjoyed the speeder chase quite a bit.
Yeah, this movie had a couple good action scenes, but they didn't make up for the rest of the
Yeah,
stuff.
but I feel like
For sure.
at least half of Obi-Wan's dialogue in the speeder chase is him saying the exact same thing, which is, I hate when he does
true.
that. He says that like 6 times.
Like, I hate
He grabs the speeder. I hate when he does that. It takes too long to pick up the right speeder. I hate when he does that. He's like, see you later, master.
And also
Jumps
him,
out the
like-
speeder. I hate when he does that. Loses his lightsaber. I hate when he does
Yeah.
that.
That's true. And also him, like, ridiculing Anakin. He's like, what took you so long? Or, you should not have lost him. You shouldn't have taken the short. Went completely the other way. And then also, one thing that bothered me, when he catches Anakin's lightsaber, first of all, that would have, like, taken his hand off. Second of all, he just puts it down casually in the seat next to him. That would totally fly out.
I know. I know. And then you actually start to see the lightsaber,
and-
like, jumping around a little bit, and then it cuts to another scene.
Yeah. Then it cuts to another scene. You're like, that totally would have flown out of it.
Totally.
You know,
yeah.
and he, like, does, like, a complete 90-degree turn, you know, and all of it.
Gone.
When he lands
Well, I mean,
it.
okay, he does have the
Um,
Force, so he could have caught it.
True. I mean, that's every time somebody fell from a great distance, and then it cut into them landing. I was just like, oh, that's the Force, right? It has to be the Force, you know. Every time, like, surely they would have at least shown them using the Force or something like that. you
Well, I
know?
mean, they did, and then...
It's funny, like every scene, it's so old that they have to show the person jumping and then cut to showing the person
know.
land. Like that's how old
I
this
know.
movie is. You know, they can't even use cables, but it's funny. A lot of the dialogue between Obi-Wan and Anakin totally could have been
Oh.
better.
Oh, definitely.
Honestly, all the
reasons I hate this
dialogue in
movie-
this movie could have been better.
Dialogue is so bad.
Yeah, true.
I mean,
most of the
Except-
make
for
dialogue
Yoda's.
better. You
Yoda's
work on the
always
love
spot
scenes,
on.
except for Yoda's, obviously. Right. Thanks, Frank Oz. If you make the dialogue better, you fix up the love scenes a little bit, change some other things, I think it's a good movie. For Star Wars, at least. But the dialogue is just so bad. And all the stuff with Anakin and Obi-Wan, like, that scene is meant to show development between Anakin and Obi-Wan, like, what it's like. And if the dialogue was better, that would have worked, but it totally didn't work.
No.
I feel like
Honestly.
Most
some...
of it
Yeah, I
was
know,
just
like...
Obi-Wan telling Anakin something he did wrong, Anakin getting really mad at him, and walking away or something.
Yeah, and, like, a
Yeah.
couple times, I was like, to Obi-Wan, I was like, is that the best advice you have, really? I was like, you can't do... Like,
Yeah.
the one part... So right after they meet Padme, and then Anakin kind of, like, acts like an idiot when they're sitting on the couch, and he's, like, arguing with him and trying to, like, impress Padme.
Right.
And then
right,
she
right.
she's like, I'm gonna go retire or whatever. And then they go on the balcony and they're talking, and they're talking about like his nightmares. And he's like, yeah, I
Right.
have nightmares of my mother. I'd rather dream of Padme. And then Obi-Wan,
Obi-Wan should
I
have
know
said
all he
something.
says is like, you just have to clear your mind. I'm like, that's the best advice you have for this kid right now.
Yeah, and that's so we can agree. This movie and Last Jedi, I can see a lot of comparisons. Right, it's very obvious that Rian Johnson hated everything that Star Wars stood for when he made it. Right, but you know
You're
what
so
it had
mean.
is and the, well, it's obvious. I mean, he did it. Okay, but what I'm about to compliment him on this though. So he and Clone Wars have something in common. They view the other Jedi, besides, you know, maybe Anakin and sometimes Obi-Wan, as complete hypocrites. Like, why are you telling us we can't love? What the heck is that? You know, that's so wrong and stuff like that. I mean, you know, control your feelings, suppress your feelings. I mean, that's really bad. And so for all what Rian Johnson did, he clearly got that the other Jedi are losers. And you kind of... Clone Wars is a lot of developmental stuff for that,
Who kind
too.
of
know-
overseed Clone Wars? Or
So Dave Filoni did. He also did Rebels, and he did a lot of Mandalorian stuff too. They pulled him to work on Mandalorian. Yeah. He wears a cowboy hat. He's pretty cool. He's a pretty cool guy actually. But
yeah, I like what he does.
for all that to say, yeah, Anakin in this movie is it's
Trash.
so bad. Yeah, it's so bad.
And his
Also, so
haircut.
after the
Ooh,
yeah, the
man.
haircuts, yeah. I don't know. But anyway, so when Jango shoots the shapeshifter with, like, the dart, Obi-Wan pulls it out and goes, toxic dart. And you're like,
No, I've literally...
what great powers of observation you have,
Okay,
Obi-Wan.
I was thinking, why the heck did she not shoot the Jedis? Or did he not shoot the Jedis? Because they just
True, yeah.
Like, what were they gonna do if they weren't gonna force stop it in midair?
Well, I think he had one dart, and if he shot one of the Jedi,
What
the
kind
other-
of bounty
the
hunter has
shapeshifter
one
would've
dart?
told the
He
other
also has
Jedi.
like missiles
Yeah.
on his
That's true.
backpack. He
Whatever.
could have just missiled all three of them.
Yeah, and if
There's so many
Obi-Wan and
plot holes.
Anakin didn't know that the dart was coming, they wouldn't know it was coming for them.
Yeah, no, I mean,
But they can send centipedes in a room.
And then there's that one funny scene, like when the centipedes are like crawling and they're both talking, and Anakin's like stops and Obi-Wan's, I sent it too. And they both start spreading. He like
Obi-Wan
wants
has
to make
something
sure
to
that
hide.
Anakin knows he's not the only one.
Yeah. So with the toxic dart, it reminds me of something. I saw Raya in The Last Dragon, like I said.
Man,
And there's
I like
this one
movie.
scene. She's looking. No, well, this is a bad part. She's looking for all the rivers. She's trying to find something at the end of all the rivers or something like that. And so she pulls up a map. She's looking at the end of the river. She pulls up a map and she has X'd off every other river besides this one, and then she circles it. And you're like, okay. Come on, we know, we can tell. Okay, we can tell. I felt like that with the toxic dart too. Like we can. I thought it was a non-poisonous dart, but
That
okay.
just
I thought it was just like a little dart, yeah.
Yeah.
Somehow it like hit a
and also-
perfect nerve and killed it.
Also, then it comes and sees Dex, and it's like, come
oh
on.
my gosh.
You know, Dex is so stupid. You know, I am so much of a nerd that I used to read Star Wars
Oh, same.
books.
Oh,
They're not
man.
made by Star Wars, but
Nerd.
Dex is actually a character in some other books that I've read. It's weird, but I don't like him in this movie. He's weird, disgusting, and then it depends on how big your pocketbook is. And he has like this weird,
His
creepy
face just looks like
it's kind of creepy.
yeah, and it looks like it got squished or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, I never realized before watching this again that Boba Fett is actually a clone. I always thought he was like Jango
Oh, really?
Fett's
You know it?
actual son.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a clone.
Makes sense
Weird.
because he looks exactly like all.
Yeah, it's true. Speaking of Boba, there was one part that made me laugh out loud, and it was when Jango and Boba are
Yes,
talking to
and-
Slave One, and they look like they've shot Obi-Wan down. It's like, won't be seeing him again. And then Boba's
Yes.
it was so funny.
That kid is a
This
stud.
kid is trying to do an evil chuckle.
that kid's a little
Oh,
stud.
man, that was so good.
10-year-old kid trying to be evil.
Yeah, it's so funny. I'll say I enjoyed the first part of this movie, kind of until Anakin and Padme leave for Naboo. I enjoyed the first part of this movie. I
It's
thought
like
it was
the first 10 minutes of
decent.
the movie.
it's a bit more than it's about 40 minutes. But the second part of this movie is probably the worst part of this movie. It's when Obi-Wan's in Kamino, which is kind of interesting, but mainly because it's Anakin and Padme in the Lake Country. Man, and that is. Let's talk about this for a second. All right. What is not bad about this section? Right after we see Obi-Wan in the Clone Wars with Kamino, which is interesting, but it's mainly interesting because it's filled in the Clone Wars, just gonna be honest. And then, right after that, it just goes down. Alright. There's the sand scene, which is...
Oh yeah, that's like the first. That's like right when they get there though.
Yeah, and then right after that, they kiss.
And
you're
then
like,
and then she's like, "Oh, I shouldn't have done that." And then she like keeps talking about like how she should never
Yeah.
have done that.
Then, like, the
and
next
then the next
scene,
scene, they're like
they're
rolling.
rolling in
Yeah,
the
I know. I'm
field.
like, what the heck? Why are you?
with the giant insect CGI, which is oh my gosh, and they're, like rolling. Like make up your
I
mind
know.
already, and they don't. And then
And-
one of my favorites. So then they're like in the
Yeah, in the
dark
fire,
scene, and they're
by
in
the
the
fire.
fire, and she's wearing like a really revealing outfit, and Anakin's like, "Oh, I'm haunted by
Yeah.
you,"
Oh, that
and
was
all
so
that.
cringy.
And then the next morning he gets up and she like tries to walk past him. He's like, "Don't leave. Your presence is soothing." You're like, "You just told us 2 minutes ago
She's haunting.
it was the opposite of that."
I know. And then they're
I
like,
mean,
and then
what's going
and
on
then
with
Makes
they're,
no sense.
she's trying to cut up hair, and then he forces it over and cuts it, and then like forces it back into her mouth. And
Yeah.
then he's like, Obi-Wan would kill me if I was doing this. Obi-Wan just like appears on the side of the screen. I hate it when he does that.
That's fine. Yeah. I mean, honestly, Padme. If Padme was a real person, wasn't fictional, she would have slapped him in the
I
face
know.
so many times and like run away. And also, it seemed like she wasn't picking her outfits. Just gonna be honest. All right, looks like somebody was still picking her outfits. For her.
I know, and she's a senator, not even a
So
queen
creepy.
anymore.
Yeah, it's so weird. So what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say something else. Oh yeah. So also on the pear scene, there's like he's talking about like aggressive negotiations, and she goes, "What's aggressive negotiations?" He's like, "Well, it's negotiations with a lightsaber."
With a lightsaber.
Yeah, then she like giggles. It's so weird. Oh my gosh. Oh man. And then they go to Tatooine.
Oh, that's right.
Anakin's
Yeah.
mom. This is always a weird part. First of all, you get
Yep.
Wada, which is he's even more disgusting.
Oh yeah, he's
Um,
nasty, and he has flies all over
That
him.
dude.
Yeah, it's disgusting. And then they go meet the Lars.
Well, okay, I will say the Lars part was interesting because those two younger people were the people that raised Luke.
Yeah.
So,
Right, that was an interesting little nerd
Yeah.
bit that I liked too.
and it
and then
explained
Anakin
like
goes
how
anyway.
Luke got there and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was really cool. And then they go, and then he slaughters all of the Tusken Raiders.
Yeah,
He shows
He
his
comes
true
back.
colors.
not just the men, but the women.
True colors.
And the children, too.
shine
I'm a
through. True
monster.
colors, that's why I love you. Yeah,
And then after he tells
Um,
Padme that, she's like, oh, I'm still in love with you.
yeah. She like tries to console him. You're like,
I was like, why are you not running
that
away right
person
now?
is gone.
Because like,
So-
look, this is how I was thinking. So, like, his job was to protect her because people were trying to kill her, and instead he literally
Right.
makes the whole movie about himself. And he's like, I'm gonna go to Tatooine
Right.
because
It's just-
I want to, and you're gonna come, and I'm gonna try to protect you. But actually, I'm just gonna leave you here with these random people we just met 5 minutes ago. But they seem like nice people. But they also
Yeah,
they
he's like,
also
"They're
couldn't
good
even
people."
save my
What?
innocent mom from these other people. So I'm just gonna leave you with them though. It'll probably be safe. And then I'm gonna get back and I'm gonna complain about all my life problems and honestly like freak you out. But you're still gonna need to comfort me because it's my problems, not yours. And it's like, dude,
Yeah,
just like
I mean-
do your job, man.
Yeah, the Padme and Anakin's relationship is not realistic in any way whatsoever.
Nope.
You know.
And
I
then
mean,
okay, think about their relationship in the Clone Wars. Like, how is that right after this? Can you ever have a decent
I don't know.
relationship after this? Like,
No.
literally,
but they
I
do.
know it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, and then at the end of the movie, Obi-Wan's like, "Where's Anakin?" And they're like, "Oh, he's escorting her back to Naboo." You should, after all he did, you let him do that? I mean, come on. Then they secretly get married, you know. Again, I think Geonosis parts were kind of interesting. The big epic battle wasn't as big and epic as I thought I
Yeah.
remembered it to be. I mean,
The arena?
in the pit
Yeah.
with the light, yeah, in the arena.
Except there's the Jango Fett
Um,
dying from Mace Windu, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Which
Loser.
was, then you see Boba Fett like, he's evil chuckling. Then he stops evil chuckling, and he sees his dad is.
And then he
dead.
continues evil
But
chuckling.
I mean, it was. Yeah.
I get the jetpack now,
When he
Daddy.
picks up the. Oh my gosh. When he picks up the helmet, and it is a nice scene when you kind of see him be sad. But Count Dooku is an interesting character. I liked Christopher Lee playing him. And also, Matthew, I can't tell you how many times Count Dooku tells to him, "Oh, Qui-Gon thought so highly of you," or "Yoda thought so highly of you. I'm disappointed," or something like that. He says that a lot, quite often.
Count
too.
Dooku says
Did
that
he
too.
repeat lines? Yeah, he says it to Obi-Wan. Count Dooku is really an interesting character because he's kind of, he's the bad guy, but he seems like a good guy. Honestly, if he wasn't a bad guy, he was, very
Yeah.
polite, very kind. He's like, "This is a mistake. I'll try and get you out of here."
Yeah.
But he has a good tactics. Then you see the Death Star, the Death Star
Yeah.
plant, which is kind of
That is,
interesting.
yeah. I mean, that's something good. We're like trying to pick out little things
Yeah.
that are decent in this movie.
Yeah, we're trying to help it out. But I liked the clone scene when they come and like destroy all the droids. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
pretty cool action scene there.
Yeah, it was
Like
pretty
blowing
cool,
up all
but
the
Well, I
droids.
remember-
mean, for a movie that was called The Clone Wars, I'd expect it to be a lot bigger.
Attack of the
Yeah.
Clones.
For sure,
Yeah.
Attack of the Clones.
Well, I
Yeah.
guess
Or Attack
that
of the
was
Clones,
the
whatever.
Attack of the Clones, but
Yeah,
I
it
remember
was.
the Lego video game scene of that part way better than I remember the movie.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
It was actually a hard one
was
because
fun.
you would like be on the little speeder thing and you have to get through the checkpoints before they like turn into lasers or whatever, and then you got to go be Yoda for like the first time and force the pillar
Oh yeah, that was definitely too.
stuff like that.
Thing down, up. Also, real quick before that, when Padme like makes or quote unquote makes Anakin go to Geonosis,
Mhm.
when they were fighting all the construction stuff, that was also kind of a good scene. And the humor with C-3PO was like, meh. It did not bring a smile to my
Yeah.
face. I was going to be honest with you. But him finding George Lucas didn't know how to write a movie, didn't know how to tell a story, but he's pretty good. He's pretty good at world building and making a good action set piece. I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I would say. And then you get Yoda going berserk over Count Dooku, which was pretty sick.
Yet Count Dooku still gets away.
He gets all the
Yeah,
lightning into
still.
one little ball and throws it back at him.
You still have much to learn, my young Padawan, or something.
Wait,
like
was
that.
he actually Yoda's Padawan?
Yeah. Well,
Think so, yeah.
I think
Or was he
so.
Qui-Gon's?
There's no. So he was Qui-Gon. He was Qui-Gon's master, but Yoda was Count Dooku's
Oh,
master.
Count Dooku was Qui-Gon's master?
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel like
Yeah,
I knew that a long
but-
time ago.
I think there's been some contradiction because I thought that Obi-Wan, or I thought that there was another person who did it to Count Dooku.
For some reason,
but
I
I'm
always
pretty
thought
wrong.
that Count Dooku and Qui-Gon were like both like kind of twin Padawans, or like side by side.
No, he's Count Dooku's a lot older. Also, I really liked. I've always been kind of a nerd with kind of sword fighting styles or different types of swords. How would you fight with that? And the curved hilt with his is
Oh,
really
yeah,
awesome.
you're right.
To see him fight with that,
Mm-hmm.
it's really cool. I was never really good with it with a plastic lightsaber, but he rocks it, man. Let me tell you. So what do you guys think about Yoda the first time you've actually seen him in a lightsaber duel? Did it rise to your expectations or no?
For him being the greatest Jedi Master, and Count Dooku still getting away from him fighting him, I mean, like, it's kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, right? Like, he shouldn't have gotten away. I feel like Yoda uses his powers, both his, like, fighting abilities and his, and his force abilities very defensively, and doesn't use them offensively very much. Because, like, he
Yeah.
used
true.
the force to raise the pillar up, but, like, he could have crashed, like, the whole ceiling down on Count Dooku, or, like, on a ship or something.
Yeah, I thought it was. I mean, just throw the pillar at
The pillar at the ship, yeah. Why would you? I know. I feel like he just really didn't use much offense at all. He just kind of defended people when they needed it. He was kind of just like the
Yeah.
emergency shield type guy. And I mean,
Yeah.
the only time really in all of Star Wars, the only time you really see him aggressively, offensively fighting is the scene in number 3 that we'll talk about next time
with Palpatine.
yeah, which is actually a really cool fight scene.
Well, not just with Palpatine. Whenever the clones all turn.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that's true.
He does do aggressive negotiations with those clones. What else was I gonna say?
They're moving their head.
Oh yes. So another thing with Star
Agree
Wars,
with me, you
we're
will.
driving home from seeing Rise of Skywalker. My dad was saying, I just don't see why you can't just use the Force to like combust your opponent. And I was like, but laser swords. He's like, I don't see why you can just use the Force to kill your opponent instantly, but laser swords. You know, what I mean, Count Dooku says that line is like, clearly this battle cannot be determined by our skill of the Force, with our knowledge of the lightsaber, or no, knowledge of the Force and skill with the lightsaber. And you're like, no, I don't
totally
think
can be.
Yeah, but there's
Yeah.
also so many times
Because in the end,
that
it is.
like, why didn't they just use the Force to heal like they all of a sudden magically could in number 9?
Well, it's kind of a new Force ability. It was kind of dormant since Darth Plagueis. Yeah,
Well, Sidious had it.
yeah.
Because
It's
I mean,
true.
he healed Vader.
Also, like one thing, it's true. That's true. But that was more medical stuff. Actually, that wasn't the Force.
Kind of was, yeah.
One thing I did like, Palpatine kind of grows in awesomeness. The first movie, he's not really there. He's
Yeah.
not a good character. The second movie, you kind of see him start to manipulate
And
things.
to manipulate Anakin too at the beginning
Oh,
when
yeah.
he like has
We're
Anakin
telling Anakin,
privately.
you're the best. You're better than Yoda.
Yeah, he's like, I think you're better
Right.
than Yoda and Mace Windu. Nope.
Yeah. And then he's like, I will give up these powers once crisis is over, or something like that. And then he does it. You know. Oh man. All right. Quick summary of thoughts, donor shoutouts. We're out of here. All right. Summary of thoughts. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I don't think I said that, but it was still really bad. Dialogue was terrible. There's so many wasted talents. I mean, the score for this movie is just exceptional. And Samuel L. Jackson is a great actor, and it's wasted. I'm so mad. And also, Anakin is way whinier than I remembered. I don't understand why he and Padme couldn't just broken up. Would have been better, except for Luke Skywalker. But yeah, just it could have been better. I'm disappointed.
I think I
Yeah.
agree with all that, and Anakin would have been cooler if he had stayed the little kid who was actually cool. Like, why was he cooler as a 9-year-old than a
Hey, little
19-year-old?
kid that looks like Tanner.
Like, why? Most 9-year-olds are way cooler
Mainly
when they're
because
19.
he's cute.
No,
And
but he
because when
wasn't.
he's whiny, he's actually supposed
He
to
wasn't
be.
whiny in the first one at all. He like understood everything.
Sure.
He was like kind of a genius, and like he like could survive by himself. He knew he knew who to talk to for things. He knew like how to get stuff from people. He was like pretty street smart, type guy. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden he's just
And then
this
he turned into a
whiny
whiny
brat at 19 years old when he's a Jedi for 10 years. And I'm like, why are you doing that? Like, I don't know. I feel like he was way wiser in the first one. And he had zero wisdom in this one when the Chancellor was like, you have the wisdom of Yoda and the lightsaber abilities or the fighting abilities of Mace Windu. I was like, no, he doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie was pretty trash, I guess. Like, it could have been way better. There were still some good parts, like, and continuing the story and all that. Some of the stuff in there was essential because you kind of need Luke and Leia for later on.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Fair
the
enough.
dialogue and all that was trash.
It was pretty smart
Yeah.
Honestly,
of Jango Fett, though.
I will watch this. Yeah, true. I will watch this movie again, if only to show my kids one day, and to hear some awesome John Williams music.
Well, yeah, but you
Or
can
you could
find that in
just
any
listen to the
other Star
music.
Wars movie.
True, but I actually like the theme from this one.
Okay.
Even
something
though
called
the love
Spotify.
scenes are
I
bad.
was gonna say it was smart of Jango Fett that one time when Obi-Wan was like forcing his lightsaber towards him, and then Jango Fett just like roped his hands. I was like, that was pretty smart.
Yeah. That was actually a cool fight. I mean, talk about that's cool too. Anyway, donor shoutouts.
You
Isaiah, where do you go if you want a donor shoutout?
go to patreon.com/the screening and donate to any of our tiers that are $5 or above.
That's right. Alrighty. So I say the donor, and you say let's see here. You say what clone trooper you think they
Okay.
are. All right. So Isaiah, Mr. Mark Killingsworth.
Captain Rex.
Nice. All right. Matthew, you can do Mr. and Mrs. Ratsky.
5s.
Nice, I like 5s. And Isaiah, Nolan Killingsworth, aka the Pony.
The pony.
Cody.
No, I think
That
the
rhymes with
pony is
pony.
his
I
like
like it.
actual clone trooper name. He just has like some drawings of
Oh.
horses on
We
his
could do
helmets,
that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Anyways,
Thank you so much for listening today, guys. Like Isaiah said, go to patreon.com/the screening. Get a donor shout out, lots of other cool stuff there. Make sure you leave a rating and a review for us wherever you listen to podcasts. And we'll be back next week with Revenge of the Sith. In 2 weeks with Revenge of the Sith. Until then.
this has been The Screening.